We're talking about Tuckahoe Village government with Cara Kronen, trustee, and Nicole Engelbert. Cara, holding a public office is a hell of a commitment. So Tuckahoe must mean much more to you than just a zip code. What brought about your wish to not just live in the village, but to give back and serve?
So, I'm actually originally from the Bronx, and my mom was a teacher, and my family's whole career path has always been in public service. So it was nothing new. I was a teacher, a public school teacher for a long time, and then I'm now a professor at CUNY. My whole life has been about public service. So it was really important for me. I feel very lucky and really, really happy to be able to live here in Tuckahoe. I came to Tuckahoe about 20 years ago. I actually became part of the Yoga Haven community, and I became a teacher there in 2007. And when my husband and I would walk around the village, we would say, this is where we want to live. We want to be here. And so for us, it was really important to try to move here. And when the opportunity came about, we jumped on it. We chose Tuckahoe, and we continue to choose Tuckahoe every day. So for us, it was really important to be active in the community. And when the time came to be of service, I jumped on it. For me, this is a no-brainer. I love everything about being a trustee and everything about this village, and I only want to see it be the best version of itself.
So my family moved here in 2015, so we don't have as long a history as Cara and her family do, but similarly, we actively chose Tuckahoe. We fell in love with the Bella Vista neighborhood. We fell in love with the economic and racial and religious and diversity, and the diversity of perspectives kind of in our charming and wonderful village. But I'm here today kind of working with Cara in order to kind of run for Village Trustee because of the work they have done. Mayor and Dino, Deputy Mayor Howell, Trustee Taylor, and of course Trustee Kronen here. They've inspired me, or perhaps reminded me of what good government can accomplish, how it can move the dial for the residents and for the community and have a real impact. And so I thought, you know what, it is time for me to get up off the bench and get in the game and put my kind of skills and talents and dedication kind of to bear for the village. I guess the saying is, what, many hands make light work, which I never really completely understand that saying, but I'm here to put my hands against the work.
Cara, discussing a master plan for the village might not resonate as a huge issue with some voters, might make their eyes glaze over, but won't these decisions about balancing residential and commercial space affect the village for a generation or more? What's at stake?
So, right, I'll be the first to admit that the idea of talking about master plans is not like the most exciting thing in the world to a lot of people, but it is actually really important. And we haven't had a master plan here in the village written since 2007. So it's been a long time, and a lot has happened since then. The world has changed tremendously, and we need to be looking forward, not looking behind us, in order to prepare for what's to come. So a master plan, really is a strategic plan for how the village is going to operate over the next 10 years, over the next decade. And for us, it's about looking at development, looking at the needs of businesses and the needs of residents, and balancing those needs with growth, and trying to find the best and most expeditious ways to help businesses along and to help residents' daily lives just be easier. It's about actually improving quality of life for everybody, and so that, I think, is very important.
Absolutely. In some ways, I do wish we could just kind of bin, or kind of throw in the trash, the term master plan, because it's simply a blueprint for kind of what the village wants to be when it grows up. So we've made the master plan a key part of our campaign platform. It's one of those things that we want you to hold us accountable for. But this blueprint kind of only works or only delivers the kind of true value when it has broad and deep and strong participation from the community. So when we go on this journey to build out this blueprint, we're going to be asking the residents to really comment and participate in this process so that we know what they want Tuckahoe to be when it grows up. Now, one of the key elements of it is, we can look kind of right out here today is Marbledale. Marbledale is kind of top of the list for the master plan because it offers such kind of unique kind of opportunities. It's a bit of a gem, a diamond in the rough that we can develop to kind of build our tax base without kind of increasing noise pollution, increasing traffic, and reducing those coveted parking spots kind of all around the village. But ultimately what Marbledale becomes, what Main Street becomes, it's really in the hands of the residents as we build out that blueprint.
Nicole, the title of trustee, how does that define the duties that you would assume in your responsibilities on the board, and what does it mean to you personally?
So the trustee role, it's unique because it's actually, we're elected representatives for the village. So for me personally, and how if elected, I would kind of run with this position is I'm a steward, kind of a fiscal steward, kind of tax dollars, but also probably more importantly, I'm a listening post for the residents kind of in the community. I'm an advocate kind of for their needs. I'm an evangelist to make sure that those preferences and needs of the entirety of the community are represented in the policy and in the tactics, in the work of the village on a regular basis. It's really kind of I'm your representative to making sure that the village kind of does and becomes what you want it to be.
Cara?
Well, right, in the strictest sense, a trustee, like legally, right, we pass budgets and we appoint people to different committees, we pass legislation, right? So that's in the most strictest sense. But really, the word trustee is actually the heart of it, the job. People are entrusting you. They trust you to make the decisions, to speak, to work on behalf of them. And that's really what we do as trustees. We work on behalf of the people who live here, whether they vote for us or not, whether they agree with us or not. And it is our job to listen and to work in their best interest. So somebody said to me when I first became a trustee, there are people that work on behalf of the village, but your job is to work on behalf of the residents. And that really sits with me. And I take my role here very, very seriously. I am here to serve the residents and to be entrusted with this role has been an incredibly important to me. All right. And so I want to make sure that we are doing what the residents want, what they feel like the village needs, and that our daily lives are always getting better.
The pandemic has sharply reduced Metro North ridership. Now, has that affected the retail businesses near the train stations? And Nicole, do you have any thoughts about how the village can enhance or diversify Tuckahoe's retail environment?
So it's amazing what you all have done. I mean, it's amazing when local government has a singular focus on the needs of the residents and the needs of the community. And when the pandemic happened, the village needed to move fast to keep our local businesses going, to keep our residents kind of healthy, both physically and mentally. And so the village trustees kind of worked so rapidly to bring kind of outdoor dining, for example, kind of to the village. And it happened so rapidly because the leadership had a mindset that was, what can we do, as opposed to what can we not do. And when you have this kind of can-do leadership or orientation, it's amazing kind of how kind of bureaucracy and obstacles can melt away kind of so rapidly. And we moved so quickly from having kind of no outdoor dining to having outdoor dining approved through the end of December. And I'll tell you, my neighbor commented to me that our Depot Square area, she's like, it looks like an Italian plaza. And kind of what a brilliant example of kind of making kind of what we say limoncello kind of out of lemons in a really difficult situation.
Yeah, that's true. Our Depot Square does look great.
It does look great.
Yeah, especially in the summer. And you can look for changes in Depot Square next year. It's going to get a whole upgrade. But the nature of our work lives has changed a lot, and so that's changed the way business kind of rolls here too. While yes, a lot of the early morning businesses, the delis, the bakeries, the coffee shops have lost the commuter traffic. If you walk through the village around noon or 1 o'clock, you see people sitting in those same establishments, drinking a cappuccino and having lunch. So we have changed the way we work, but because people are here during the day now, a lot of our businesses are seeing traffic in a way that they didn't see it before. And so that makes me optimistic, and I'm glad that we do have the outdoor dining. I think that was really, really crucial to helping to bolster the businesses. And we are working, hand in hand to try to support the businesses in different ways, like creating a small business think tank or help working more closely with the Chamber of Commerce. So I'm really optimistic about what the future holds, despite the pandemic.
So coming forward for public service, Cara, you have already served 9 months on the board, and Nicole, this is your first bid for public office. Did you do so, Cara? Did you think about knowing that some voters would dislike you despite not knowing you or having met you?
I don't think you're ever prepared for that, right? And and it's an uncomfortable feeling, but it's something that you learn to work beyond, right? We are here for the residents, and whether or not somebody likes us or votes for us, we are here to help them with whatever they need, and we are here to work on their behalf. Part of that is about listening to grievances and pivoting your own personal opinions when people are telling you this will not work for them. So I think of a good leader and a good elected official should be able to listen to people's grievances and needs, and maybe even change their opinions or their thought processes, and to be able to pivot. All of these things are very important, and probably what is going on in a lot of the world is that we have become hyper-partisan and almost tribalistic in the way we see things, and this has created an environment where people are feeling very anxious about the future. Right. And there's uncertainty and there's unhappiness, and people, I believe, are feeling like their elected officials aren't working for them. And we are really committed to working for everybody. And so, yes, no matter what, if you like me, if you don't, if you voted for us, if you don't, we are here to work for you.
So dissent is part of participatory democracy. Our founding fathers probably anticipated it, and if you ever watch any of the documentaries about how the Constitutional Convention was, it was a lot of dissent, a lot of arguing, a lot of not liking each other, and so it's okay, it's good, it's an indication that residents are engaged. What is not good, what's not normal, what's not healthy, is when elected officials kind of only serve a subsegment of the population, when views are kind of galvanized, as Cara Cara remarked, and they're not actively listening and evolving their perspective. It becomes kind of quite toxic, and our government kind of no longer kind of works in the right way. Needs are not being met. The quality of life is not being improved. It becomes difficult to make investments in public safety and infrastructure. So ultimately, it's about how do we serve the residents. So it's not about me and whether my feelings are hurt. It's about what the residents are experiencing and how we are kind of building and growing and changing our policies to best meet their needs.
Current village code allows the use of gasoline-powered leaf blowers from October 1st through May 31st. A typical gas-powered leaf blower, studies prove, emits as much carbon dioxide in 1 hour as a car does in more than 8 hours. Cara, would you support a year-round ban on gas-powered leaf blowers?
So right now we do have a partial year ban on gas-powered leaf blowers, and that has been a few years that we've implemented that. And I know that other municipalities have done year-round bans on gas-powered blowers. I am actually on the environmental committee, so this is something that we talk about a lot, and we do get a lot of requests for the complete elimination. Right now, so Tuckahoe is kind of unique in that the land plots are not typical. A lot of people don't have grass. They have atypical heights in their backyards. And so people do still very much rely on blowing their leaves. They actually may not be able to rake. So I know the optimal thing is to rake and leave your leaves or to mow and mulch, right? But not everybody can do that. Right now, we are getting to the point where electric and battery-powered blowers they're almost there. They're almost as good as gas-powered blowers, but they're not there just yet. I think one of the important things that we can do is start thinking about the future, and as homeowners, we can encourage homeowners to think about buying over the next year, the next 2 years, when your leaf blower goes, and they will go because they don't last forever, start thinking about buying electric and upgrading to an electric or to a battery-powered blower instead, because there may be a time that I think we will move away from gas power completely.
Absolutely. I mean, Cara has such strategic thinking and a mindset kind of around kind of how we find the path to compromise and resolution with the leaf blowers. Now, Cara and I come at this from somewhat different perspectives, and I think that's kind of one of the really wonderful things about kind of our campaign, our slate. I'm not sure what exactly to call it. That there isn't an orthodoxy, kind of it's not monolithic. We're not kind of taking our kind of political direction from some kind of puppet master kind of somewhere else. It's about really listening kind of to the residents. And we know that leaf blowers, it's a problem kind of in Tuckahoe because residents are quite engaged kind of about it, and there's lots of different views. Some of this is coming from when we all started working from home, and those whining leaf blowers were in the background of how many of our Zoom calls. Now, no one wanted to kind of ring up our hardworking DPW and say, my neighbor Cara is using the gas blower. Her hardworking landscaper is using the gas blower during the day, because that's just not good community behavior. But as trustee, myself and Cara, I'm going to kind of commit you here, kind of too. We're going to work hard to kind of understand kind of the options, understand what the residents are asking for, and find the right compromise, find a reasonable solution to balance kind of the environmental needs, the quality of life kind of requirements, and kind of ensuring our landscaping looks good. So leaves, no, we are coming for you.
I'm sure you're both planning to meet as many voters as possible, usually on their own doorsteps in the next few weeks before voting on March 15th. What topics are you looking forward, Nicole, to talking about with voters?
So, Cara and I, we have what I would almost think of as a draft platform, right? We've talked about kind of what we want you all to hold us accountable to in terms of economic development and quality of life and investing in public safety and in infrastructure. But I'm calling it a draft because we're not going to be we're not knocking on doors to talk at you, because if we are, you shouldn't answer the door. We are coming and knocking on the doors because we want to listen. And if every time we knock on a door, have an impromptu conversation on Main Street or in one of our local businesses or even on the telephone, it's a brilliant opportunity to learn, to listen, to kind of evolve that platform. So ultimately, we are working on the topics and the issues that are most important to you, the resident. And so kind of be ready. We're going to come with notepads in hand, and we're going to kind of really listen to kind of what you need and what we can do to better serve you.
You know, we really just want to talk about whatever you want to talk about, whatever the residents want to talk about. We're open. There's nothing off limits. There's nothing like that's too upsetting to talk about, right? If this is on the mind, if anything is on the mind of a resident, we're happy to hear about it. And, you know, we can't know everything all the time. A year and a half ago, somebody mentioned stadium lighting to me. And because I don't live anywhere near a park or a field, I don't think about stadium lighting. But someone said to me, listen, we have a problem. And I'm concerned that if we have new occupants at the old Concordia complex, we will have people come in and want to put stadium lighting in the field. And so this then became the board's issue, because we understand that if this is of concern to residents, then it's something that we want to address and be proactive about it, not after the fact. So anything that worries residents, nothing's too small, right? If it's the litter, we can do something about that. If it's the lighting, we can do something about that. People came to us and talked to us about the Ward House, right? And that's where the Landmark Preservation Task Force and then eventually the Landmark Preservation legislation came from, because these were concerns of residents. And they weren't necessarily on our radar, but they were definitely things that we needed to hear about, and we are glad that we could help mitigate create a solution for it.
Absolutely.
Cara Kronen, Nicole Engelbert, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's a
Thank
pleasure.
you.